Welcome in everyone to this mini lesson on finding leads. I broke this into two parts, 1 and 2, each have 3 sections. And for any mini lesson that you come across, any hyper-focused program that we put out, you're going to see at the beginning a couple symbols here that are designed to deliver a message, the overall message or theme that we are trying to convey in that lesson or in that program. So when you're listening, you're reading, you're going through each slide here, I want you to be thinking about each of these symbols, and then at the end there's some space for you to write out or identify what you think the meaning of each of these symbols is. So let's dive into the agenda. Starting with section 1, we're looking at the importance of lead generation for any business, not just a real estate company. And then 2, we're going to get into identifying the different types of leads and the purpose they serve. And then we're going to look at the understanding yourself and personal communication style, how important that is to yourself, to your company, to make sure that you're bringing in the right people, the right customers that allow you to be efficient and effective in your operations. And we'll have a big takeaway for part 1 as we lead into part 2. Let's dive into the importance. Anyone that knows me knows that I love to use analogies to describe various concepts, and I was making this presentation and this just came to me. I look at leads in the same way that I look at potential matches that you would have on a dating app, for example. So just as a dating app connects you with potential dates, generating leads connects your business to potential customers. So just as you need to filter through potential matches to find the right date that is going to deliver a return on investment of time and effort that you put into it, your business needs to filter through and find the right leads that lead to the right customer that are going to generate a return on investment of time, money, and effort for your business. So as you can probably guess, not all leads are created equal. So for example, just as you would consider the type and the quality of date that you're looking for, you have to also determine the type and the quality of lead for your business. You want a cheap date? Look on Tinder. I describe Tinder as sort of the clearance rack for humans. Those are the cheap leads. You're probably not going to find a long-lasting, high-quality relationship on Tinder. If you want a cheap lead, look on Craigslist. Those are also probably be considered low-quality leads. So high-quality leads, ones that are going to lead to a high-quality long-term relationship, whether it be in a dating context or in a business context, those are going to require some effort, some thought, some consideration, some creativity, some value add that you might have to do some work to identify. So that would be the analogy I would draw for lead generation and what it means to your business. But knowing the type of lead for your business, what types of needs you have at any given time, requires a deep and nuanced understanding of what it is your business needs. There's different types and purposes for leads that can bring value to your company. So we got to choose the right match that's going to lead to a high quality date, the same way we need to choose the right lead that will give us a long-lasting, long-term relationship with a customer. And therefore, the more matches equals the more dates, and simultaneously, the more leads we have, the more customers we have. So the better we are at lead generation, the more stable and consistent our business and cash flow will be. So let's get into the different types of leads and what it means, or how to achieve an understanding of these lead types and what they will do for your business. So if we're talking about identifying the intended business model, I'm going to tie this into the wholesale investors' possible models here. So if we're looking at real estate investors and specifically real estate wholesalers, you're likely going to have a business model that is either direct to agent or direct to seller. So the best leads that will give you some cash flow, some deal flow, and be a revenue driver for your business. If you're going direct to agent, you're going to probably be targeting good real estate agents that know how to work with investors and are good at communicating with investors. Now, if you are going direct to seller, you're probably going to be looking for motivated sellers and or distressed properties. Now we'll get into what motivated means as it relates to sellers, and what distressed means as it relates to properties and or sellers. So yes, the business model matters. Does your business model change the source of leads? Yes, it does, absolutely. It's kind of what we just explained. And yes, leads can serve different purposes. So different types of leads. We're going to go through some types and different purposes that might serve your business in different ways. So the first and the most obvious is we want to generate cash flow. We need a revenue driver, right? And then another type that is less obvious but equally as valuable is a lead that helps you reduce your costs. Because a lot of times it's less about how much money you make and more about how much money you can keep. So leads that can help you keep more of those hard-earned dollars are equally as valuable to the leads that generate cash flow. Then we have some market research leads, and these are valuable because it leads to a better understanding of your consumer, what their preferences are, what their behaviors and trends are. It helps you understand your target market better so that you can craft an effective marketing strategy. And then we have brand awareness. Those are also a different type of lead. It would probably be like a podcast host that maybe it has an audience that you want to get in front of. Any type of collaboration or podcast that you would want to get on, or any social media influencer that you could have post on your behalf that promotes your product or your service, those would be leads that help you get in front of the right people. So maybe it's not a direct revenue driver, but it would be an indirect revenue driver, because that would be an entity or a person that puts you in front of the right eyeballs. And then we have relationship building leads. This is a quote from one of my good friends, Brad Lee: "The more hands you shake, the more money you make." There is so much truth to that statement. Relationship building, aka relationship capital. So leads that maybe aren't going to be a direct collaboration, or it's not going to be a social media influencer, but it's someone in a high place that maybe has authority or power to speak on your behalf to the right people. That would be a good relationship building or relationship capital type of lead. And then we have customer retention leads. So these would be contacts or individuals that maybe you would want to connect with or partner with on upsells, cross-sells. Maybe it's a company or a program that would lead to higher contract renewals. So these would be leads that help you nurture existing relationships and keep the customers you have for a long-term basis and build a strong relationship moving forward. All very good lead sources and purposes for you to pay attention to. All right, so now let's look at what the different lead sources may include, and let's specifically touch on what we mean by motivated sellers and or distressed property. So when we're talking about motivated sellers, we're talking about those that are eager to sell their property quickly to you and maybe open to selling at a discount. So these could be people that are economically, financially distressed, maybe in physical distress, and maybe they need to move into an assisted living facility, or they need to move with a family member. That would be examples of physical distress. Now, distressed properties, on the other hand, that would be properties that appear to be having issues, or they're in disrepair. Maybe there's a ton of overgrowth, the property is just not well kept, the landscaping is getting way out of hand. These would be probably difficult to sell on a traditional market, and would probably be good for you to target and speak to a seller that is clearly in distress and not able to take care of that property, or maybe they just don't care. So when we're talking about motivated sellers and distressed properties, these usually go hand in hand. And these are the ones we are looking for. We want to be looking for these because we have a very strong negotiating point to get a discount on that property. So then we have off-market properties. These are those not listed on the MLS. They might take a little bit more effort to find, maybe a little bit more marketing dollars and outreach to get in contact with them. but there are ways to overcome that with just some really, really good communication skills, which is probably for a different lesson. Then we have probate slash estate planning type of leads. Now, when I say probate slash estate planning, those would be like probate lawyers, those that are handling the administration of estates with the probate court. And then we have tired landlords or absentee owners. Those are probably the ones, as I mentioned, that would have a distressed property. Someone that maybe is living out of state, but they own a property in Florida or in Texas, and they're just not able to take care of it any longer. So those would be also good types of leads to focus on. So now we're going to get into understanding yourself and your communication style. Why is that important? Well, understanding yourself and your personal communication style can help you identify the types of leads that you can efficiently convert. Now, we want to efficiently convert the right types of leads, and it makes a ton of sense to consider what your experience is. Now, what do I mean by previous experience and your communication style? You can identify that by considering what knowledge and education you currently have. What can think to yourself, ask yourself, what can you confidently speak about? Are there any complex topics or subject matter that you can really, really simplify and explain to a third grader? Now, in the same way that I sort of like to break things down into analogies to help people wrap their minds around a concept, this would be an example of how you can use an experience or education or knowledge that you feel confidently talking about, and use that to your advantage when you're speaking to potential sellers or agents that might resonate with your message. The other thing you need to consider is how good of a listener are you? Are you good at using your tonality? These are all very nuanced variables that people don't think a lot about when we're talking about negotiating or persuasion and making sure that you can be a good problem solver, not only for yourself but for your audience. You're understanding yourself and your communication style specifically. Think about if you're comfortable speaking to a distressed homeowner that maybe is in a difficult financial situation. You might be more successful generating leads from that segment of the market because, well, maybe you can establish rapport and deliver a message that really resonates with that individual. Maybe you went through a similar experience. That is going to be something that you can really capitalize on and efficiently bring leads into your business. Alternatively, if you prefer working with absentee owners that are looking to liquidate properties, maybe you've been in that situation before and you can really speak to that type of person, you might want to focus your lead gen on that segment. So if you can efficiently connect with the right people, the right leads, and acquire the right leads and the right customers at the lowest cost possible, you're going to have the highest return on investment of that time. And this is absolutely critical to the success of your real estate business. So what's a big takeaway here from part one? The better you understand your business, the better you understand your numbers and yourself, the more effective you're going to be in generating leads and actually converting them into paying long-term customers, which is ultimately what we're looking for. If you don't truly understand how your business contributes value to the marketplace, conversion is going to be very, very, very difficult for you. If you don't understand the value of your business and you can't articulate it or articulate that value or your value, then how is anybody else going to understand what you bring to the table? Now, there's not a lot of people that are going to encourage you to go through that exercise at the beginning. A lot of people are going to have their own system, and they're going to tell you to follow this system because this is the proven system that works, and they don't give any recommendation to consider yourself, your own previous experience, what you're efficient at, and what you can be efficient at, and where the areas are that you need to fill. That all requires some very deep self-introspection and very deep analysis and evaluation of your business needs. That's the purpose of this part one, is to really encourage you to slow down and not just dive in headfirst into the first system that someone that you view as an authority figure and just follow the suit that they tell you to. I would really encourage everyone to look at themselves and determine what is most effective for them. So next up, for Finding Deals Part 2, we're going to look deeper at understanding your numbers, understanding your target market, and then having an efficient and strategic prospecting campaign. Now, here is the final page here. Did you identify the codes that were at the beginning? And just as a reminder, these are the sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you want to list those here, if you determined what those might have been, go ahead and list them there, and I will see you in part 2.